Coming today on Eagle on Tech, our camera is not working, so you get to see a stock image of servers. Apple announces a new budget iPhone. You need to download your Kindle books, for that will be a thing of the past very soon. Nvidia launches the new RTX 5070 Ti, and no one is happy about it. And AMD launches a new CPU that can replace your entire budget gaming rig. All that and more coming today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or so I'm going to write this Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We've got a lot to talk about today, like the fact that if you're watching the video podcast or watching it live, you will find out that, in fact, there's no camera. My face cam is currently out. We'll find out if the camera is actually broken or if it is just a USB cable. I assume it's a USB cable. I don't know. I can't get it to work on... Someone in the chat is messing with me and said that the audio is glitchy. And I'm like, no, you did it. You did not just do that. This is the third take that the podcast would never know until I said it. You're not going to tell me. It's just like, there's a little bit of like very faint scratchiness. It just sounds like someone taking the mic and just rubbing their fingers across the tip of it. Like, so you should do something about that, broadcaster. You should go ahead and do a fourth take for a glitch that is manufactured. All right, in any case, let's not do that. Let's instead talk about the fact that for the first time actually in a while, Apple actually caved into someone. This is actually interesting. So the UK demanded that Apple put in a backdoor so that the UK could get access to consumer data. Apple, despite the fact they continuously, again and again and again, flip the bird to federal law enforcement, pretty much told the UK government, anything else, good sir. Now, as far as we know, they haven't actually put in a backdoor, but they have in fact removed the encryption feature on iPhones and other devices from models they sell in the UK and for UK users. I'm sure there are examples of Apple just giving in to the federal government of some country when it comes to security, I should say. They did give in to the EU for things like, I don't know, actually using a real standard for power. Someone in chat says, can't be surprised, London is after all the capital of CCTV. Here's the thing. It's not the fact that the UK asked it. We actually covered a bit ago that the UK demanded this. What's surprising is that Apple caved in, because Apple refuses for multiple different governments, especially the US and other state governments, to remove encryption for the purpose of solving the case. They outright refuse again and again and again and again. For them to actually cave into the UK, it's surprising. It really, really is. Someone in chat says that they wouldn't say they really caved, just pulled a feature instead of caving by putting a backdoor. This is caving. Considering that Apple's normal stance is go pound sand, this is our security standard, and we will never let anything tarnish that standard. For them to go ahead and drop encryption, it really is caving. For them, it definitely is. So we'll have to, here's the other thing. They drop encryption, right? There's no longer any end-to-end encryption going on inside Apple devices. Do you really think they'd stop there? Do you really think that Apple would just go ahead, drop one of their biggest selling points they have over Android, and then not put in a backdoor? I'm not saying they did. But odds are they most likely did comply more than they should have. And there could very well be a backdoor in there now for the UK, but we'll just never know until years down the road. So all we'll have to do is wait and see. See if we actually get any other info out of this. Meanwhile, though, to distract you, Apple announces a new iPhone, like an actual new iPhone, the iPhone 16e. So I want to put this in perspective. What we now have, we have the iPhone 16e, the iPhone 16, the iPhone 16 Plus, the iPhone 16 Pro, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Did anyone else feel like their IQ dropped like 2 points hearing this entire lineup? Like, maybe I'm the idiot here, but why didn't you just call it the iPhone 16 Eco or iPhone 16 frick? What else? What else would you call this thing? Like, having to go by a single letter when we've been done with single letters for a while feels weird. But in any case, the iPhone 16e is now the cheapest iPhone in the current lineup with a price of $599. It is using almost the same 16.1 inch OLED display. It has the same pixels per inch as the iPhone 16, the 60 hertz refresh rate. It is using a notch instead of the dynamic island. It is using Face ID. It does have the action button on the side instead of the little switch. It is using the same A18 chip as the iPhone 16. It is using 8 gigabytes RAM. It does support Apple AI, so you know that anytime you ask something of Siri, you are going to go insane. It has a single 48 megapixel camera that they're saying is a dual action camera. As far as we can tell, it is just a single 48 megapixel camera that they will digitally zoom into X to give the illusion, because it's 48 megapixels, that it is still an optical zoom when it's not. It is the first phone for Apple to use their own in-house modem It is using the Apple C1 modem instead of the Qualcomm 5G modem. So that's going to be very interesting to see how well that performs compared to the other iPhones. It is using USB-C. There is no home button. It is just using gestures, and it's $200 cheaper than the iPhone 16. And before you ask, because I know someone's going to do it, no, it does not have a headphone jack. There is not a single Apple iPhone that has a headphone jack. Stop asking for Apple iPhones to have a headphone jack. They are never going to listen. I'm sorry that you feel like you absolutely need to have a headphone jack. But guess what? No, it's not going to be there. And no amount of whining and complaining is going to tell Apple to go ahead and bring it back. Someone in chat also said it still has a notch. The iPhone 16e now is the only iPhone to have a notch. Almost every single iPhone now for like the last 1 or 2 generations instead has this hole punch in the top that changes shapes by having the screen go black in areas and then provide information to give this illusion that the exit wound in the screen is actually there to provide you additional information when you don't need it, or when you do need it. And I'm not going to say it's a great mind-blowing feature, but it's cute. And I don't understand, when everything else about the two screens are the same, why you'd go with a notch instead of just having the dynamic island, just letting the software still exist. The other thing that this comparison chart that someone made doesn't include, the iPhone 16e does not have fast wireless charging. It only charges via 7.5 watts wirelessly, and there is no magsafe to line up the rear. On iPhones, they have a ring of magnets on the back that when you line up the wireless charger, it just snaps into place. That is not present on the iPhone 16e. You can, however, get a case that has the magnets, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're back in business. Someone in chat says their phone has an under-screen camera, no notch, no pinhole. I'm not gonna lie, I don't care enough anymore. I really don't, because I'm not gonna lie, the under-screen cameras, they have distracted me more than the pinhole. And like, the under-screen ends up adding a decent premium to the screen because they have to go ahead and build the screen slightly different under where the under-screen camera would be. and like the quality takes a hit as a result. And it's just like, you know what? I don't care enough. In a very weird take, you know what I'd rather see? I'd rather see no front facing camera. That's just me. But you know, I could very well just be the weirdo. But the whole thing about, oh, Apple's inferior because, oh, we don't have an under screen camera, or we have a notch and set. I hate to break to you, it's 2025. You picked the wrong time to complain about that. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares about the notch versus, I mean, the fact that it's notch versus dynamic island is bizarre to me. But housing mechanism for where the cameras go on a screen that's not a perfect aspect ratio, it's just kind of a dead argument nowadays. Because whenever you're enjoying any kind of content, you're never going to see it anyway. Because this is not a 16:9 screen. It is usually like an 18:9 screen. So this edge and this edge are always cut off anyway. And if you want to zoom in close, well, now you've cut off the bottoms and the tops. And now it's like, oh, now that hole's there. And it's just like, Like, my biggest gripe with these is right here. It's the RAM. It's the AI. Like, those are my two biggest gripes, and they're present on both phones. Actually, I take that back. My biggest gripe with the iPhone, although allegedly it can be fixed, I don't own an iPhone that I can test it, is the fact that with me trying to navigate without home buttons, it is a frustrating experience. And every time I borrow someone else's iPhone because they're like, oh, can you go ahead and show me how to do this, that, or the other thing? It is an infuriating experience, and I want to throw a pen at them. Like, it is nuts. I am way too used to the Android way of things, where you've got a back button, where you have a home button, where you have a, what would you call that? I almost call it like a freaking start button, where you just hit it and it just brings up either, oh, actually no, this would be like the start button. This one brings up like all your apps that are in the background. Someone in chat says their phone is like 5 years old and has four gigabytes more RAM. Yeah, that's my. I thought they were about to say their phone is 4 gigs RAM. And I'm like, hold up here. Hold up. Yeah, no, the 8 gigs of RAM is atrocious. Like, that's gross. And I know some Apple fanboy is going to go, oh, well, it's an Apple phone and therefore it's more efficient on the RAM. That's what I got to say to you. That's exactly what I got to say to you. It is disappointing. It is disappointing that Apple, who says they care about the environment, does exactly no future proofing and puts their RAM cap so low that the instant Apple Intelligence does anything, it caps out the RAM. You want to know why your AI sucks? This is why. Also, this is why. It's the fact that it's AI in general. This is also why it sucks. But AI consumes a whole lot of RAM, and you only have 8 gigabytes of it. That's it. So now here's the real question, though. For the Apple lineup, is the iPhone 16e going to be something we see refreshed just like the iPhone SE was, where we see a new model every 4 months or so? Or is this going to be something, because they now put the number in, that we're going to see it refreshed every so often like the iPhone? Or every year, I should say. Are we going to end up with, in the fall, the expensive iPhone's going to update, and then the pleb phone that your friends will make fun of you for because it only has one camera lens, and they know that you're a pori, are going to go ahead and update that only in February. You laugh at that, but there is way too much just like social stigma about which iPhone you have. And if your iPhone is too cheap, you're just considered like the dregs of society. And I'm not gonna lie, it's gross. It's really gross. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. But yeah, that's the iPhone 16e. It now exists. Whether you like it or not, it is now a real thing that really exists. Meanwhile, though, speaking of budget things, YouTube now has a premium light option. This is going to be for going ahead and not getting any more YouTube ads. Excuse me. But instead, someone in chat says the stigma is less on which iPhone you have and more on which one you have at all. Between iPhone users, no joke, I have seen it. whether they have the cheaper iPhone, the 2-camera one, or the 3-camera one. It's nuts. And then, of course, there is the thing of, oh, is that an Android? Oh my God. Oh, I can't believe you guys have an Android. Ugh. Like there is definitely that. Don't misunderstand. But at least with the Android one, I can go, hey, can you go ahead and do this? And then just go ahead and fire up an emulator and actually play good games and then laugh. It's hard. Although, unfortunately, now it's harder for me to make the claim of I can play good games on an Android and I can't on an iPhone, because the iPhone now does have Balatro. And Balatro really is just like an easy, just time vampire that's just like, there we go. Damn. Curse you, Balatro. In any case, though, YouTube Premium Lite. All the benefits of YouTube Premium without getting free music. The question I have, though, and unfortunately, I don't think this article or any article that I quickly looked at, never mind, I found it here. Oh, never mind. No, they don't mention it. The big question right now is that if there's going to be a YouTube Premium Lite, how much money do you save? Because as 9to5 Google points out, YouTube Music Premium costs $11. YouTube Premium is $14. And we have no idea how much YouTube Premium Lite is going to cost. Is it just going to be $3 a month? Is it going to be something close to $5 a month? Are we going to see it be price gouge-tastic and it's going to be, you know, $12 a month? Right now, we don't know. All we know is that all the reports point to this YouTube Premium Lite coming very, very soon. Actually, who am I kidding? The current tech space, here's what's going to happen. All right, here's my prediction. This isn't what's going to happen. This isn't confirmed, but this is my prediction. YouTube Music Premium is going to stick at $11.99. YouTube Premium is going to move to $21.99. And YouTube Premium Lite is going to move to $13.99. That's my prediction. They're just going to move YouTube Premium up way high and then say like, oh, don't worry, there's a light version down here where the old one used to be. If that does happen, you're not allowed to get mad at me and say I gave Google ideas. Because I guarantee you, no one who makes decisions at Google listens to this podcast. It's not my fault if it actually happens. But at the same time, you can't deny it's very likely. Oh, by the way, there was a Windows update that is... Oh, someone pointed out the family plan is $23. Okay. Someone in chat made a good point. We do have a family plan that's $23. That's going to go up to $29. There we go. Meanwhile, Windows 11 broke File Explorer. Again, Windows Update KB5051987 breaks File Explorer and then fails. And then, well, then a hotfix had to come out again. I gotta say, you know, biting the bullet and just learning Linux, and I keep saying I'm going to do it like some kind of attention-seeking tech dude. But man, the more and more Windows just wants to go ahead and just go against my wishes, install the updates, despite the fact I say do not install updates without my permission, and that goes ahead and installs updates anyway, because Windows is cool like that, and then breaks something. I'd have like 10 nickels by now, which is too many. 1 nickel at this point is too many. But it's just what happens over at Microsoft, and it's getting infuriating. And I don't know how you go ahead and tell Microsoft, stop it. Like, do we just go ahead and say, yeah, to Ubuntu we go? Whee! That's actually one thing I should do. I should go find a Linux guru, ask them what they'd recommend, and then ignore their advice and then go do something else. You laugh, but here's my logic. Whatever the Linux guru tells me is going to be because they're way too comfy inside the operating system. So a complete novice like myself, who only has like offhand experience with Linux, is just to be completely lost. And I'd be like, oh yeah, just go to the command line. The command line's scary. Someone in chat says, get a Mac. No, I went over this. I literally cannot get a Mac. Way too much of the software I rely on does not work on a Mac. Even though the Mac now actually has one of the cheapest desktops out there. I just cannot get a Mac. It does not have an IO for what I do. And the moment I get a Mac that does have enough IO, I have spent $8,000, and then I look really, really stupid. And I feel really, really stupid. And then I find out half my stuff doesn't work. So no. If I switch, it's going to be to Linux. I just don't know which one yet. 2800 Mac Studio does not have enough IO. No joke. For what I do here, I need way more IO than the Mac Studio or the Mac Mini has. That is the biggest limiting factor. Oh yeah, and software compatibility. And also right now, it's just like the budget that this studio is running on. Right now we're on the budget of running Windows 10 PCs until they die. For crying out loud, I just price comparison shopped for a cable. That should tell you a lot right there. But yes, Windows being Windows. Quick, raise your hand if you're surprised. What's that? No one rose their hands? Yeah, I'm not surprised either. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk about Kindle books and how you won't be able to download them locally pretty soon. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. Someone said that maybe the servers in the picture actually are AI related, that they are in fact an AI server farm. Here's my counterpoint. It can't be an AI server farm. There is not water cooling pipage everywhere. Like, holy cow, trying to run AI servers nowadays on air cooling is just like asking to go deaf. Oh man, can you imagine? Now chat also thinks I am just straight up AI generated, realizing that because there's no camera, I am just an AI voice, and that at some point everything's just going to crack down and it's
just going to descend into a robotic voice. And that's how they'll know that I've been replaced by AI. Anyway, here we see that our robot overlords decided that you should never be able to download Kindle books onto your device locally. You are going to enjoy not owning anything. You will need an internet connection at all times in order to read your Kindle books, and you will like it. Your AI overlords say so.
Also, on an actual note, can I just say thank God that this mic is a dynamic mic, because I can hear like just a herd of coyotes just yipping as loud as they can. I actually want to like go over and see where the heck they are right now, because they're so loud, but I can't hear in my headphones, so I know you can't hear them either, so it just sounds like I'm going crazy. Maybe it's an AI hallucination. Whoa. Anyway, someone in chat said they can do AI video as well. They could have easily had a video stream for it.
We just don't have the credits for that.
In any case, yeah, you have until February 26th to go ahead and download your Kindle books onto your e-readers. After that, you basically, if you plan on using your Kindle, you have to have an internet connection active in order to pull your books, which I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'll admit, I don't own a Kindle. I don't. So I'm not exactly like, I don't have a whole lot of like experience with these kind of devices, but to me, it feels like the best place for a Kindle is at a time when you are as disconnected from the grid as possible. So to me, it seems like just having a bunch of books on one device that's super light and has near infinite battery life just seems ideal. Someone in chat says, I really don't understand how this will work with the Amazon e-readers. From what I understand, you just download the book one at a time, and then when you close the book, it just gets stored back into the cloud. You need a cloud connection basically to go ahead and use to go ahead and swap books. That's at least what it seems like to me. I'm not gonna lie, why? Someone in chat says some Kindles can pull books over an old, slow wireless technology. They forgot the details. Quick to the Amazon mobile. What connectivity does a modern Kindle have? Also, what is the difference between the $110 version and the $160 version? What the heck? Just glare-free display. In any case, let's go down to the tech specs, which I can't put up on screen because it has my personal name on the screen, and see what we got here. Display, we have a 7-inch e-ink display. It's 5x7 by 0.3, weighs 7.4 grams. System requirements, none. Fully wireless and doesn't require a computer to download content. 16 gigabytes on, holds thousands of books. Free cloud storage for all Amazon content. Charge time, charging less than 2.5 hours on a 9-watt. Wi-Fi connectivity supports 2.4 gigahertz and 5.0 gigahertz on WEPA 2, WEPA 3, yada yada. Pretty much supports all modern Wi-Fi. It does not say what kind of radio it has in it, other than, yep, it sure does have Wi-Fi of some kind. LOL. The tech specs don't really tell us a whole lot, I'm not gonna lie. Someone in chat says it has built-in cell service 3G. If it does, Amazon is doing a good job of not advertising it. I'll say that much. I will admit, in the back of my head, I kinda recall that these things used to have some kind of cell modem on it of some kind. I'm just not seeing anything here that confirms that. Even the comparison chart does not mention anything about cellular modems between Kindle, Kindle Paperwhite Signature, Kindle Color Soft, and Kindle Scribe with redesigned display. Interesting. Someone else in chat says they believe the older ones did, but almost all the newer ones now have only Wi-Fi. That's such a shame that they did away with that, considering they're now doing away with local storage. I'm curious what the e-book community thinks about this. I'm curious if they're just like at arms and just saying like, all right, you know what? It's time to look for another ebook reader. What other ebook readers are there, I wonder? I feel like that's a rabbit hole to fall down under. That's going to be just a nightmare. Yeah, once again, this is just another example, as someone mentioned in chat. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Yeah, someone else in chat actually brings a good point. Almost all 3G networks are now decommissioned. It's true. Everything's now 4G or 5G. That is correct. But in any case, while the ebook community tries to figure out what to do with their Kindles, as you will very soon not be able to download your own ebooks, Meta has one of the weirdest takes I have heard in a while. Meta claims that if you torrent pirated books, it's not illegal unless you start seeding. What? So I heard this this headline at first and thought that Meta is trying to say that torrenting books is perfectly fine unless you're seeding it. Oh, no. This gets stupider. Because the reason Meta is making this claim that torrenting pirated books isn't illegal, it's because Meta was caught torrenting a dataset of pirated books for AI training purposes. You know, just in case you thought that everything for generative AI was acquired on the up and up, just in case you somehow lived in that strange reality, which if you do live in that strange reality, how much is the rent under the rock? Actual legitimate question. I kind of want to know, just in case I need to like find a place to just hang out and live for a bit. But don't look at me that way. It is important to disconnect from the world sometimes. So I'm not gonna lie. I think this case is just gonna vanish as there's just a settlement. But God, I hope this case advances. I really do. I really want this to advance, just because I want to see Meta explain why piracy is a good thing, all in the name of generative AI. That's gonna be one really funny case. Another funny case. Remember Humane, the AI pin maker? I got bad news. They're gone. Humane, who made the AI pin that seemed like a good idea on paper until thoughts occurred, and they are now shutting down. And HP went to Humane and bought up some of them on a fire sale. Look, I'm not gonna lie. Both Humane and Rabbit, the two AI devices to come out of, not really to come out of CES, but the two AI devices that came out of CES 2024 hyping, they needed to answer one specific question to go ahead and stay in business. And the question is simple, and it's a question that all of AI really needs to answer, like, soon. Why do we need you? And so far, AI has a very hard time answering this question. Because in the end, a lot of what AI does, while it might be done faster than a person could do, is being done poorly. It's just not being done well, like, at all. It continues to make errors. It continues to just be kind of a cool tech demo. The use cases of generative AI actually being fantastic and great continue again and again and again to just be lackluster. And I hate saying that. It just feels like we're putting all this effort into AI for the answer of why do we need AI to just be why not? Someone in chat says non-believer. All right, true believer. How is AI going to make my life better? What is AI going to do that I can't already do now? Or do what I already can do, but do it better? Someone in chat's the answer that they gave me was my Nvidia stock. That is not a valid answer. That is not a valid answer. You know what kind of answer that is? That's the kind of an answer when you ask, like, how is Bitcoin better than regular currency? And the crypto bro you ask that to just says to the moon. It appears, someone in chat says it appears to be the societal answer. Ah, yeah. I do wish we get to a point where we could host good LLMs locally. I currently don't have the capability to do it, at least well. Hopefully we get to that point at some point, because I do want to mess with this stuff, but man, trying to go ahead and just mess all the big ones and just have it go, oh yeah, mix ammonia and bleach for fragrant water, just makes me go head desk and just continues to fill me with disappointment after disappointment. Someone in chat says Mac Studio Ultra can do up to... Apple needs to bring back the Xserve and just have it be for local data. Just bring back the Xserve just for AI compute. I'm not gonna lie though, it is kind of crazy how good some of the high-end Macs can be when you have like very specific tasks for it. Because you could put a Mac Studio on top of my server rack, and in certain applications, the Studio outperforms the entire rack. The biggest advantage my rack has over one single Studio is I/O and flexibility and storage capacity and serviceability. Serviceability being the major thing. But the AI Humane pin, rest in peace. Never forget Rippin' Spaghetti. Another thing that happened, the RTX 5070 Ti came out. And guess what? The reviews are in. Don't. Just don't. Whatever you do, just don't. I gotta say, this Nvidia generation, I have seen and read about a lot of GPU launches. But holy smokes, the 5000 series, the Blackwell Nvidia GPUs, this is a horrendous GPU launch. So let's first focus on the 5070 Ti. We're going to go according to date. First things first, all right? The first thing that came up that wasn't a rumor was actually from tech YouTuber Jay's 2 Cents. Jay's 2 Cents, 2 days before the embargo lifted, came up and most likely actually broke his embargo with Nvidia to rant about the pricing. And the main reason why I said he most likely broke his embargo was because he did reveal that there were no Founders Edition cards for the 5070 Ti. It is all board partner GPUs. And at that time, they already showed that the GPU they were given by Nvidia that was supposed to be at the $750 MSRP, leaked pricing was already out that showed the GPUs at $900. And that's the low end. After Jay's 2 cents video that called this out, and where he also just revealed that, oh, hey, by the way, the card performance, he can't tell you exactly what it is yet, but it's not good. Lo and behold, the embargo lifts on February 21st. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not on February 21st. When does the embargo lift? I just looked at the date here. Thought that was it. The embargo lifted on February 20th, I believe. Maybe it was actually the 21st. But in any case, embargo lifts. All right. It turns out performance increase, depending on your game, is anywhere from 8% all the way up to 17% in a best case scenario on the MSRP on standard rendering. Of course, falling well short of the anywhere from 50 to 250% performance increase, depending on how much you want to smoke the good stuff that Nvidia is smoking, which I'm pretty sure are $50 bills. And keep in mind, 900 is the cheapest these go. Because they're all board partner boards, they're doing factory overclocks, and then on top of that, increasing the pricing much further so they can go ahead and actually make a decent profit out of this. Because we already heard from previous leaks that Nvidia is charging so much for the GPU die that, in fact, there's barely any money for these board partners to make a living. So they're going ahead and promoting more and more of their factory overclocks so that they can charge way more, so they can actually make money. And this is where things get juicy. This same Asus card that all the reviewers used went ahead and took a temporary price cut from $900 down to $750 after they were called out. Then, of course, everything sold out because they shipped only 100 of these blasted things. And then the pricing then went through the roof. You most likely cannot find a 5070 right now for less, you can't find one less than $1,000 at all. This is stupid. There's no other way to say this. This is absolutely stupid. By the way, these cards also have the same 12 volt high power connector, the one we covered last week, that is pushing upwards of 50 amps through a single wire, which is the main concern for the cable melting. Which, by the way, I forgot to add this to my list, but someone in my Discord did give me a link to an article about an active cooling solution for the cables. That's how bad this is. Someone went ahead and made a heatsink for the connector. I said it was an active cooling solution. I'm wrong. It's a passive heatsink. But still, this is not a thing that should exist. There is no reason for your cable to need cooling. You should instead load distribute the amperage across multiple cables, seeing as how you have 12 of them right there. And yes, I know it says 16 pin. These 4 pins up here are sensory pins. They are not bearing the load. These 12 are. This is stupid. This is unnecessary. This is a solution to a design flaw. I don't know how you look at this and see anything else other than that. Oh, but here's the thing. This gets better because not only is the 5070 Ti a lackluster performer that is being scalped both by the actual factories and by third parties, but they are defective on top of that. Oh yes, the Nvidia RTX 5000 series, it's no longer just a bad deal. It is now actually into the territory of being a scam. Do you want to know why the performance numbers are so swingy with different reviewers? Why some reviewers seem to be getting a 6 or 8% performance increase and others seem to be getting a 15% performance increase? It's because every single one of the RTX 5000 series cards, the 5090, the 5080, and the 5070 Ti, all may be missing ROPs. ROPs, or rasterized operation pipelines, are essential pathways within the GPUs that should be static at all times that let parts of the GPU communicate with each other. The reason the performance increase is so swingy, it's not just because the GPU is working strangely because of the fact it's an AI card that is being tricked and fooled to doing gaming instead of AI. It is because the factory fab tolerances are so bad. You could be getting a GPU that is just straight up not built fully. How much you want to bet that the AI version of these cards, the data center versions of these cards, have no chance of missing ROPs? That the overpriced cards that are being sold to the masses really are just the defects of the AI cards. To put it in perspective of how bad this is, I want you to imagine you went ahead and got a brand new pickup truck, brand new V8 diesel powered monster with tons of horsepower and all the torque in the world. And you go and take the thing hauling. Then you find out it's struggling when you're not even close to its load capacity. And you go into the hood and find out the engine is missing a cylinder. It's not quite to that extreme, but that's the kind of situation we have here right now with Nvidia. In case you thought for a minute that Nvidia needed gamers, no, they don't. Because this actually might be the worst the consumer base, the gamer base, has ever been treated. Because how do you look at this other than we're getting defective cards, we're getting a defective charging or a defective powering standard, we're getting the scraps of what they're actually using just because they have their new sugar daddy in the form of the AI marketplace. You don't hear any melting cables in the AI data centers now, do you? You don't hear about performance hits in the AI data center, do you? No. Everything's good in the AI data center. They know what they're doing because that's where the real money is. I can't stress this enough. AMD needs to get their act together. Nvidia needs just like I can't even stress this enough. Like the GPU marketplace right now is awful. There is right now almost no reason to get a brand new GPU. I can't recommend it. Go ahead, get the backstop of last gen. Go ahead and get some AM or some Intel Arc 1. Maybe that's good enough for you. If that's good enough for you, hey, good for you. But man, I cannot recommend a Blackwell GPU. I just can't. How do you look at this and say this is okay? You know what the worst part is? A headline like this, that the next AMD RX 9070 GPUs could start at $649 and $749. If you showed me this headline 10 years ago, I'd be livid. $650 and $750 for a GPU is insane 10 years ago. Nowadays, God, it's a bargain compared to the nonsense that Nvidia is doing to us. Like, holy cow, a budget build actually looks plausible with this. You might even be able to get a decent system for close to $1,000. Woo! I've heard rumors that we should be seeing the RX 9070 embargo lift and the actual reviews start coming out for these GPUs next week. I have no idea if they're true, of course. I'm hoping it's the case, and I'm hoping these cards just absolutely smoke what Nvidia is giving us. Someone in chat says you can get a Mac Mini for less. I don't know how many times I have to say this. All right. I can't do what I want to do with a Mac Mini. There's not enough IO. the software doesn't support what I want to do. And guess what? That is the case for the most amount of people. Stop recommending a Mac Mini. It's not the answer for everyone. That being said, for a majority of people that want decent performance for decent dollar, a Mac Mini is great. Just stop telling me to get a Mac Mini. Zone in chat says these cards are most likely pre-tariff pricing at 100. And that's most likely what it's going to be post-tariff. It's still not bad. We'll have to see. But here's what I also strongly suspect. If these cards most likely actually do perform decently, AMD is just going to scalp us. I'm willing to bet these cards are going to go for $1,000. I just have a gut feeling that's what it's going to come to. At the same time, though, maybe, just maybe, we can go ahead and maybe Halo Strix is our answer. Performance has now been revealed on the AMD Strix Halo CPU GPU combo devices that pretty much match what an RTX 4060 can do on one single chip. I don't know if they're going to bring this kind of CPU to desktops, to PC building, but holy smokes, this actually might be a viable option for a lot of budget builders, depending on how much the chip costs. Right now, this is just only for mobile. So we're only seeing, it's basically the kind of performance we're seeing here. We're basically getting the same kind of SoC we see in a game console on like a PC. Unfortunately, right now, they're only in thin and light laptops. The only one I've seen right now has been an Asus gaming tablet. That seems to be just kind of the device that AMD chose to be the testing unit for it. But we'll have to see what it goes for. We'll have to see if we get a desktop version of this, how well it performs. This could be an answer for a lot of people that just want to get into PC gaming and just don't have, thousands upon thousands to go put into the hobby. But you know what? It's not the worst idea in the world. Speaking of budget PC building, rumors are coming out about Intel's next GPU. With Battle Mage pretty much done, and they're just going to be releasing the lower end versions, rumors are already coming out that Intel Arc Celestial may in fact feature Z3P architecture, which is a phrase of some kind, but that they also may not use TSMC, that instead they're going to be manufactured in Intel's fabs, which would be ideal. The rumor also says that this new architecture may in fact compete with the high end. Now look, it is at this point that I feel like a responsible adult and I have to tell you the dangers of overdosing on hopium. All right, there's no shame in dreaming. There's nothing wrong with hoping for a brighter future, a future where Nvidia doesn't charge you $2,000 for a defective card, where Nvidia decides to not sell you a self-igniting GPU. Look, that's all good stuff to dream about, but we don't want to go overboard, okay? It may in fact cause brain damage, and that is not good for anyone. So please, use hopium, which may or may not be a real thing, responsibly. All right, now that we got our little PSA about a thing that doesn't exist, here's my opinion on Intel Arc Celestial competing with the RTX 5080 or 6080. Yeah, right. You think it's gonna compete with Does the card also come with a flying pig? I'm just trying to figure out exactly what else we should hope from the Celestial. It is called Celestial. Maybe it will actually include angel wings to come with the card, so that we can also go flying and get as high as our wings will take us. Someone in chat asked, will it be enough of course it'll be enough to run Doom. Wait, which Doom? Most likely the answer will be yes. But yeah, Intel Celestial GPUs, they are switching architectures, that they're switching to a plus architecture instead of the normal Z3. So, you know, that's interesting rumors. Oh, something that isn't a rumor. Remember how earlier we were talking about what to do just in case you can't go ahead and use your Kindle anymore? I have an e-ink reader that is actually way better than anything you could hope for in your normal Kindle. How about an e-ink an e-ink device that instead is a game console for text-based RPGs? Oh yeah, we're going old school here. An e-ink reader that is roughly the thickness of the original Game Boy, at least from what I can see in the picture, that pretty much is meant to run games like Zork, where everything is written out as a book. It asks you what you want to do. You give an option based on the buttons it has, and then types out the next scene and just keeps on going. I'm not going to lie. Part of me wants one of these in my camping kit. You know what the best part is too about this? I look at the thing here. What other, I want to see if there's other angles of this device. First off, it looks like we have an old school fashioned volume wheel on the side. It looks like, and I can't get a confirmation of it, but it looks like we have an SD card reader on the top. I see a USB-C charging jack. Someone in chat immediately pretty much read my mind. I cannot see if it has a headphone jack. Here's the other problem. Oh wait, it uses cartridges. Okay, never mind. It's not an SD card reader. On one hand, I don't see a headphone jack. On the other hand, considering that it plays just text-based RPGs, I don't think it would need a headphone jack or a speaker for that fact. But that is a real thing that really exists. But I do not see any evidence of a... Oh wait, no, it has to. It has a volume wheel. So wait, yeah, if it has a volume wheel, it has to have some way to play something. But the article does not mention a headphone jack. I do not see any sight of a headphone jack, but I don't see two of its sides. Someone chat said it might be a scroll wheel. Actually, it might be an on-off switch because there's a lot of space. But that is the thing that now exists. It is called the Ink Console. We'll see if anyone talks about it after today. And finally, we get to the last burb, the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a flying car that may or may not exist. So this flying car from a company called, I already lost track of the company name. There it is, Aleph Aeronautics, says they have successfully made a flying car and have successfully demoed it. However, all we have of it is a video demonstration that, I'm not gonna lie, I have doubts. I have some doubts on the legitimacy of this video showing this car just casually floating in the air. Now, granted, I am a severe skeptic, so I see something like this, I immediately go, okay, hold up here. Because there's a couple of things that don't make sense. So what they're implying is that this car, which is mostly mesh, just has two massive propellers, and it's just lifting up the car and having it go ahead and move that way. So first off, there's a couple of things I want to point out in this. And for those of you who are listening to the audio version only, I'm sorry. But the couple of things that stand out to me, first off, is the wheels definitely look like they were stolen off a mountain bike. Second, the car is staying like perfectly parallel. Like or not parallel, but it's staying like almost completely horizontal in the air. A helicopter and quadcopter, when they have to move, tilt forward in order to go ahead and have those propellers go on an angle to move them forward. This car isn't doing that. The best case scenario this car is doing is that a crane is being used to move the thing and then just does it that way. They did at least do the smart thing and have a ton of... Wait a second. I thought I saw some weird artifacting for a minute. But yeah, this is something that's been going around the tech circuits like for a couple of days. But I'm just going to tell you this right now. From a physics standpoint, this makes no sense. The fact this thing is not tilting forward like every other helicopter-based vehicle does, but it's staying perfectly parallel with nothing on the front or back of it to propel it forward in the air, something just doesn't add up. Like, it is a choice. I also want to know what its range is, because I seriously doubt this thing is internal combustion. Like, so much of this thing, and yeah, we can actually see in this other video how mesh like this is. You can see straight to the ground in this rear. But yeah, someone in chat said this is definitely a tool being used to go ahead and raise funds. I'll be blunt, this is a scam. You were trying to go ahead and raise money based on false information. This is a scam. This is the modern equivalent to there was a Kickstarter back in the day called the Secret Bracelet, that its whole point was to be just like a little bracelet that projected a cell phone screen onto your wrist, and it never came to fruition, and they just took all the money they raised and ran. This is that, but with cars. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw this thing and just how blatant it was, just like, all right, come on, is this really a thing that we're going to be doing? But apparently, yes, it is. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening, and I do encourage you to check out the daily podcast. Or I'm sorry, not the daily podcast. We don't have a daily podcast anymore. I'm sorry. I'm trying to close up shop so I can go troubleshoot my camera some more so I can stop being a server farm. I just want to get out of here. Folks, that's going to do it for me tonight. Thank you so much for listening, and I do encourage you to check my other works, twitch.tv/Eagle Falcon, and my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Eagle Falcon. Daily clips are coming back and are in fact already up as of this moment. Take care, and I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye. Hey, do you know if you go to Google, type in Final Fantasy, just do a basic Google search for that, you'll get a yellow button, and if you hit it, chocobos will just come across your screen. You should do it. You should hit that button a lot and watch Chrome just absolutely come to a crawl. It is not helpful at all, but you know what? You now have it. Someone in chat says you can just type chocobo. That also works. It just puts the button in a different spot. Just make sure you hit it multiple times so your computer cries and absolutely lags. That's it. Aren't you glad you stayed after the end song now? Now you have that information and it will never leave.